think that Gavin will have to adapt a style that is both easy on the eye as well as results driven. And you do have the players there. I think Kama wasn't as influential as he can be. And Changaz is another player, and I'm sure Chiefs, hopefully with the ban that is going to be lifted, hopefully, I just hope that they lift it, will then go into the market and buy midfielders that are more in the vein of building up play rather than going over the top. And I think to some extent, it's a little bit unfair to say that Gavin is a Route 1 coach, because I've watched certain games where, you know, the players utilize the likes of Alexander, of Domingo, by building up through the midfield. So yeah, it's a combination, but I do think that in the clubs that he worked at, he built this reputation up because of the way, if you look back at Supersport, a lot of times the games there, the leagues that were won were built around the strengths of Morgan Gould, Kumalo, and a lot of wing play, etc. So, you know, when people say that, I think they're basing their analysis of how the team is going to play under Gavin based on what he did at Supersport when he won the league during that period of time. So the players obviously had an impact on how he should play, but if he has the players and Chiefs afford him the right players, then I'm sure he's going to play a brand that's synonymous with the way Chiefs would like to play. Well, firstly, a team that finishes second on the last day of the season definitely is a team that has what it takes. They would never have reached that level if they didn't have the players. So I do think they have players, but I think what happens is when you don't win the tournament, then obviously people start questioning the depth of your quality, the depth of players you have. They may need to make a few signings, but they may need to make signings in the areas that they need to. In other words, they need to make signings in the midfield and in defense, where players are more ball players. You know, you have a situation, depending again on the philosophy, if you want to play the way Chiefs play, then you have to have players who have the same abilities like the Lucases of past that could play out of defense. You had to have midfielders like Thabo Moke and the rest of Dr. Kumalo. The list is endless. Players that can make the team play that brand of football. Once he has an addition of those players coming in, because they also have an academy, and apparently I've seen Ngobo, who I feel is a sensation for me. He's a quality player. I've seen him before. He got his injury on his Achilles. I really think he's a player that can add a lot of value to the first team as far as being a playmaker is concerned. And then pick up from where Ernst Middendorf left off. You know, Ernst was noted to play through Nurkovic. Maybe Gavin will come and say, no, that's not the way I'm going to play. I'm going to have a bit of a variation to the game. I'm not going to just play one way, because eventually people are going to find out how to deal with that situation, and then suddenly we don't get the success we had under Middendorf. So yes, he has to think outside the box now. He has to think what Middendorf had done and which brought him some success, and what he can do to add to that. So he's got his work cut out in that regard, but he's an experienced campaigner, he's an experienced coach, and I think he will find solutions to that problem. If Gavin wins a cup, he suddenly becomes a messiah, in the sense that he's now brought silverware after such a long period of not having won anything. So yeah, it's important that he hits the ground running and wins that cup early on in his campaign. I'm quite certain he will win a cup, but in saying that, I do think that being the visionary Kaizer is, it's not only about winning cups now or winning leagues now, it's about what would happen in 3 or 4 years' time. Where will the team be? Because his experience in the past, where, you know, Baxter won 2 league titles, and then the team found themselves in the state that they find themselves now in. You know, it took, what, 5 years now, haven't won anything? So I don't think he'd want to repeat that. So his vision would be to ensure that whatever Gavin builds is sustainable moving forward. And that would ensure that the academy also is able to produce the type of players that will support and aid Gavin in achieving his goals. Because ultimately you can't buy success. Yes, you can sign players, but not every signing you make will be a hit. You know, we saw Kobolo, a good player, came. Maybe Gavin will get the best out of him, who knows. But in saying that, if you have a kid coming from your academy and you know his background, you know what makes him tick, you know his strengths and his weaknesses, the chances of him succeeding overall is greater, because he understands the culture, the philosophy of Kaizer Chiefs. That's very important. With a club like Chiefs, you need to understand the culture. Going back, when Chiefs were successful, a lot of those boys came from the academy. The likes of Kubeka, Jabu Pule, Isaac Mabotsa, Gerald Sibeko, Junior Kanye, Skapi Malatsi, the list is endless. They understood the culture because that culture was obviously given to them whilst they were in the game, not just by coaching, but just being able to wear the shirt.